Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me. I turned 30 this spring, but I remember that night like it just happened. June 3rd, my 18th birthday. I was standing on the back deck in the dark, while my twin brother Grant held up a shiny Audi key fob in front of 160-some people crammed into our parents' house like it was his damn coronation. Inside, the music was blasting. Seafood towers on ice, people laughing under string lights. Some planner from Newport had hung up that morning. The DJ booth had a big vinyl banner with Grant at 18 in gold letters. My name, not even in the fine print. Mom, Lydia, if you want to know, had told me to stay upstairs so I wouldn't get overwhelmed. Like I was a dog scared of thunder or something. She patted my arm and said, "You know how crowds get to you?" Which was her favorite excuse when she didn't feel like explaining me to people. That was her tone all spring. For 5 months. There were meetings at our dining table with florists and food vendors and sound guys. I kept waiting for her to turn to me and say, "Now what about Mason's side of the party?" But it never came. Dad Nolan would just wave it off with, "We'll sort Mason's thing later." Like I was a scheduling error. The week before, I'd found the Audi in the garage under a Navy tarp. I asked Dad what it was doing there. He said Grant needed it for summer internships and barked some crap about logistics. Yeah, right. They wrapped it like a gift and parked it right next to my future like I was supposed to applaud. Quick note before listening. Share which city or country you're watching from, and let's continue. I showed up in the stairwell around 6 wearing the only decent shirt I owned, and that's when Mom blocked me like a bouncer. "Please don't make tonight complicated," she said. I stared at her. "It's my birthday too," I said. No yelling, no drama, just the truth. She didn't even blink, just stepped back like I'd said something dirty. Dad walked up behind her with that tight-jawed look he used when he wanted me to shut up without saying it out loud. So I stood in the kitchen doorway while Grant worked the room like a damn senator. He was shaking hands with our old Little League coach, laughing with the neighbor who never remembered my name. Dad made a big show of lifting the keys like it was some kind of surprise, and the crowd went wild. Grant didn't even look at me. Or if he did, he looked past me. That was the part that burned. We shared a room for 17 years. He knew every bad habit I had, every dream I kept under my mattress, and still nothing. I turned around and walked back upstairs without a word. I packed a backpack with what little I had, an acceptance packet to a metalworking apprenticeship in Pittsburgh, on $29 mowing lawns and fixing fences, and a folded bus schedule I'd picked up just in case. Around 8:40, the DJ hit that awful remix Grant loved. I waited until they were mid-cheer, then slipped out the side gate. No one saw. No one called my name. The yard lights didn't even flicker. The bus left Providence at 10:35 p.m. I sat at the station and kept my phone on loud, expecting at least one text, one call, someone realizing I was gone. At 1:12 a.m., already halfway across Massachusetts, my screen finally lit up. It was from Grant. He wrote, "Mom says you're being dramatic. Where are you?" I looked at it, powered my phone off, and didn't turn it back on for a long, long time. The terminal smelled like bleach and vending machine grease. I had a hoodie rolled up for a pillow and a duffel bag under my legs. By the time the bus pulled into Pittsburgh, the sun was already crawling up the side of a half-demolished building near the highway, and I had a headache from sleeping in half-sits. I didn't know a single person in that city. That was the whole point. Royce, the guy who ran the apprenticeship, picked up my call on the second ring 3 weeks before, said, "If you're not afraid of heat, and don't whine, I've got space." I figured that was the best deal I'd get. He gave me a cot in the back room of his shop. It smelled like burnt metal, sweat, and coffee that had been microwaved 4 times too many. The floor creaked and the cot sagged, but I didn't care. I didn't need comfort. I needed out. First thing he handed me was a pair of gloves and a mask and pointed to a table saw that looked older than me. I faked confidence and got to work. 3 hours in, I brushed the side of a metal sheet too soon after the torch and scorched the skin clean off 2 fingers. I wrapped it in a rag from the bathroom, said nothing, and bled through my glove all afternoon. Royce noticed around 6. "Burned it, didn't you?" I nodded. He didn't ask for details. He just said, "Now you know what rushing gets you. First rule, you can lie all you want, but your hands tell the truth." Then he walked away. I slept that night with my hand in a bowl of lukewarm water, praying it wouldn't get infected. I didn't cry. I was too tired. We worked in that shop from 7 there I am on to 7 p.m., sometimes later. Royce pointed at a stack of reclaimed beams the second day and said, "Turn that into 3 tables by Friday. They don't have to be pretty, just strong enough to take a hit." That was it. No instructions, no measurements. Just figure it out. I'd eat whatever I could afford, usually gas station sandwiches, or dollar ramen from the discount store down the street. I learned to boil water on a rusted hot plate that sparked if I plugged in the fan at the same time, but the work made sense. Every cut, every weld, every clamp had a point. There was no pretending. Nobody could erase a table after it was done. It existed. It held weight. It mattered. That was more than I could say about most of my life. Nights I'd stay late and clean. Sometimes I'd mess around with scrap, just shaping it to see what it could be. I started posting grainy pictures of weld seams and grinder sparks on a new Instagram I made under a fake name. Mason Ryder. It was the name of some forgotten backup catcher on an old 8AA team. Not famous enough to matter, not close enough to hail for anyone back home to find me. The account didn't get followers. That wasn't the point. It was proof I was doing something. There was a dive bar on the corner of Penn and 23rd, where a bartender named Tessa worked Monday nights. She had black curls tied up with a pen and a way of sizing people up in 2 seconds. She caught me watching the jukebox one night and said, "You working or stealing?" I told her I could wipe tables if she needed help. She said, "You break a glass, you pay for it," then tossed me a rag. After the shift, she handed me a burger and said, "Next time, eat before you pass out on my floor." I stuck to the shadows. Didn't tell the guys at the shop about Grant. Didn't tell them I'd left home with a duffel bag and a bus ticket. I let them think I was just another broke 18-year-old with calloused hands and something to prove. About 3 weeks in, I was sweeping up late one night and I saw this older guy helping his kid use the drill press. The boy couldn't have been older than 10. The dad showed him how to line up the bit, slow and careful, hand over hand. The kid kept messing it up, but the dad never raised his voice. Just tried again. I stood there with my broom, pretending to watch the corner, and something cracked open in my chest, not in a poetic way, just like a door I'd never walked through before. I realized right then I wasn't going back. I wasn't chasing their approval anymore. If they wanted me, they could come find me. The next morning, I walked into a post office and filed a change of address form. After that, I took a bus across town to the courthouse, waited in line for 2 hours, and filled out the paperwork to change my last name. When I signed the form, it hit me like a brand. Ryder. That name didn't carry their decisions, their shame, their edits. It was mine. Later that night, Tessa saw the bandage on my hand from the burn and asked what happened. I said I stopped lying to myself. She just nodded and refilled my glass. I didn't throw a fit, didn't post a speech, didn't even tell Royce. I just stopped answering to Hale. From then on, I was Mason Ryder, full stop, not hiding, just cutting off the part that didn't belong anymore. And that's how I started over. One cut, one burn, one name that finally fit. The shop heat didn't bother me anymore. My hands had toughened up, nerves dulled under layers of scar tissue and callus. I didn't flinch when the sparks hit my forearms or when the grinder slipped and kissed my knuckle. The rhythm of the work, cut, weld, grind, finish, got in my bones like music. It beat thinking about June 3rd. Royce didn't hand out compliments. What he handed out was sandpaper and second chances. "That seems ugly," he said one morning, pointing with a coffee mug that had metal dust caked.